In this video, I'm going to describe how to prevent default behavior when certain events of the native window class occur. I'll use the application preventdefault.mxml. If you're following along in the exercises, you can open this application in FlexBuilder. In this version of the application, we're still listening for various events, but notice that at line 16, the addEventListener is listening for the closing event and dispatching the event object to this specific event handler function, closingHandler. This is an empty function. For each event that ends with ing, such as resizing, closing, and so on, you can prevent the default behavior whenever you want to by calling a method of the event object called preventDefault. Not all events can be prevented. For instance, if it's an event that's simply reporting that something already happened, like close or resize, then it's going to be too late. The event will have already occurred. But for those events that are predicting future behavior, the preventDefault method will in most cases prevent the behavior from occurring. Before I fill in this method, I'm going to add a visual control to the application. I'll place the cursor after the buttons and add a checkbox control. The checkbox control reflects a Boolean state. Its selected property returns either true or false, depending on whether the user has selected the control. I'll set the checkbox control's ID as OK to close and give it a label of OK to close. Now I'll go back to the closingHandler method. In order to decide what to do, I'll take a look at the selected property of the checkbox. If not OK to close.selected, so I'll ask the question, is it OK to close the native window? And I'll use the syntax, if not OK to close.selected. So if the user has checked the checkbox, I'll allow the closing behavior to happen. But if it isn't selected, I'll prevent the behavior, like this. I'll call the method event.preventDefault. I'll save the changes and run the application. I'll open the native window, move it to the side so I can see the application's interface, and now I'll try to close the native window by clicking the Close button in the upper right corner. If you're working on the Mac, click the Close button in the appropriate location. Notice that the window won't close. I'll go back to the application and try to close it from the button. And again, it won't close. Now I'll check the checkbox and close the window by clicking the button, which executes some action script to close the window, and the native window closes. I'll open the window again, and then once again uncheck the checkbox, try to close the window from its own interface, and it won't work. Come back to the application, click the checkbox, go back to the native window and close it from here, and now it closes correctly. The ability to prevent this default behavior is important because, for example, if the user closes the application window before they've closed all the other windows, that can cause certain problems, leaving invisible windows in memory, and so on. By selectively listening for the closing event and other events that you may want to prevent, you can handle them and then, checking your conditions, call the event object's preventDefault method to stop that future behavior from happening.